guys, my name is Andrew Toronto, and thank you so much for joining me on another ASXC video. So it's been a little bit. I definitely have a lot of great news to tell you guys on the front of the YouTube channel, the new direction that I'm going to go in, and all of the other various things that we're going to kind of do for the future. But for right now, let's just stay focused on the Asensus surgical earnings. And kind of maybe do a little bit of a refresher from the last video that I made. Now, if you do want to know about the plans for the channel, the plans for me going forward, and how I'm going to sort of, find a more copacetic and agreeable, just a way in which I can sort of talk to you guys, have these conversations, have these exchanges, and sort of kind of like, be able to, engage, but at the same point in time, not put myself in the position that I did, and that I'll go ahead and tell all at the end. But what we will do is we will hop right into the Asensus surgical operating second quarter. Now, we can just go over the highlights here. We'll go over some numbers, and we'll go over a couple of my own personal favorites that came out of the earnings. Now, first things first, they signed 2 lease agreements with hospitals to install the Senhance surgical system over the second quarter. Now, did I want more? Of course. I mean, obviously, we all want more. Am I also, to a degree, understanding of the whole COVID headwinds thing? Yes, exactly. I 100%. I know some people who probably listen to the call were probably like, oh man, this COVID thing, this COVID headwinds, every 5 seconds something doesn't work out for the company. But it truly is something that is, if it's impacting your life and it's impacting your day-to-day and things are difficult, imagine how difficult it is for somebody whose whole business operates in the medical field with hospitals who are currently dealing with all these problems, all these funding shortages, short staffing, everything sort of culminating into these problems. But that is actually kind of a strength because of the automative ability of the Senhance surgical system. So going over the other recent highlights. So like I said, we definitely wanted more, but we'll understand. Listen, COVID. For the second one, over 1,000 global procedures performed using Senhance during the first half of 2021, which is really, really impressive because I believe they only had about 5,000 or 6,000 procedures in total prior to that. So within the last 6 months, folks, we're talking about 20% of this company's action, which is pretty crazy considering it's been around for so long, or this specific robot's action, considering the fact that it's been in operation for so long. We know that it was promised to be maybe a little bit more insane or something. I don't know, maybe so like revolutionary that no surgeon could take their hands off of it. And I think that, yeah, maybe people overhyped it in that regard. But I think it is coming into its own now, and I think that the whole industry itself is really going to start blossoming. I think people just were thinking that was going to happen overnight, which it just simply isn't, guys. And I tell you this in every single video, I think. I always say, and it sounds, trust me, sounds ridiculous, because at the end of the day, I understand that there's so many people who will come up to people like, oh, just go to hold, just go to wait. I'm telling you right now, this is just one of those things where you really do have to hold, you do have to wait. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just the industry has to take some time. If you want to go elsewhere, find another stock, try to get rich, come back, fine. Personally, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to stay invested with the same company, and I'm going to guarantee myself those returns, make my life plans, my larger life plans 10 years down the road. Now, I know some people don't have the luxury to do that, so that's all a personal goal of mine. So going forward with the over 150 procedures have been performed utilizing the intelligent surgical unit. Now, that's actually really big. That's definitely something that was a big addition to the Senhance surgical system, and they had just gotten clearance with it. So about, around 10% of their overall procedures were being used in that capacity, which I think is really, really fantastic, or using the ISU. Obviously, we do want that to go up because I think the ISU is a fantastic, for those who don't know what it is, I did make a video, I believe, kind of breaking down, I think it was in the highlights, and it kind of breaks down what exactly is going on with the ISU. The fourth highlight was the publish multiple clinical papers, including results from their first milestone study comparing health economic outcomes versus another robotic system, as well as traditional laparoscopy. Now, what they're talking about there, now this is a big one. This is the Da Vinci system. This came out, and if you're in our Discord, we did post this. We posted this article. We posted the whole situation. It's all in the Discord. Links in the description. we posted, and you could see that there was a staunch. Not only was Senhance delivering better results, but it was doing so for a lower cost basis, which I think hospitals are really going to gravitate to, and I think that's going to give them a real great cutting edge to, if not be the main competitor, and if they are, let's say, bought out, I think that they're going to be able to put a lot of, they're going to have a lot to say at the negotiation table, which, by the way, is only good for the stockholder, just because you make more money. So let's see here. So published, okay, submitted 510K and received clearance for 5mm articulating instruments. That was essentially so that they could be a little bit more versatile in the OR. And the fact that they have this AI so wrapped up within their system does definitely aid the surgeons in achieving the processes. And the surgeries, they were made FDA 510K submission for expanded capabilities of ISU, which is really, really big. We definitely want that ISU, which is kind of almost like, I guess, a bit of a flagship idea with this program, which I really like. They appointed 2 new board members, Dr. Elizabeth and Kevin Hobart. Now, that appointment, I personally don't know enough about those 2 people. I think he spoke very highly about them. But, you know, I really, it does, to me, it's here nor there. That's not necessarily what I'm interested in, but I bet if I did do some research on them, I bet they do have a background in this field, which I think is really important. And you can tell that it's not something that they're just sticking 2 of their best buddies on the board and saying like, hey man, we're going to milk this, you know, stock for all it's worth and you can make some money if you want to do it. Which I don't think is the current direction of the company. Now, what I really like right here is, this was one of my favorite points. During the second quarter of 2021, the procedure volumes increased by over 175% over the prior year quarter. So when you compare that to 2020, they're up over 175%, which is insane. Absolutely fantastic. And for the second quarter in a row, they were over 500 procedures were completed, bringing the total procedures completed to over 1,000. So half of that was done in the second quarter, which is good. So we're on pace, I guess you could say, for about 2,000 procedures this year, which is, I believe, we can only imagine a massive of increase from 2020, and that should also stand to also represent a massive revenue increase as well. If not revenue specifically, the intangible asset of people using your system, and surgeons becoming more acquainted with, people being trained on it. And there's one more end to this, because I think to kind of go into that, I think it's going to be a little annoying. So I think our best bet, so we can go in the balance sheet, but there is one thing I want to say before we go to the balance sheet, is the implementation of Senhance Connect, which allows other surgeons to partake in the OR when something is happening. So not only does this allow surgeons who aren't familiar with the Senhance robotic system to become familiar, but it also allows them to help and actually guide surgeries that no one's ever done before. Which is fantastic. The fact that is almost creating that bridge of remote surgery, which I think is going to really, really increase the healthcare field in general, knowing that surgeries can be done anywhere. I think that's absolutely fantastic. So to go into the balance sheet here, I'm going to go towards the bottom here. I think that's one of my favorite numbers here, just so you guys can get an understanding. And this is kind of what you want to know a little bit about. This is the net loss per share attributed to the common stockholder. So this is for you, for, let's say you held your stock in 2020, how much should it have gone down? We're looking at a net loss this quarter, and obviously operating expenses are exceeding their current revenue, so we are going to expect net losses every single year. Now, or not every single year, but every single quarter, maybe every single year for a little bit. But we can see the dramatic difference between 2020 and 2021. 2020, you had a net loss of 25 cents per share. 2021, you had a net loss of 6 cents per share. Now, this is in comparison. This has nothing to do, by the way, with the actual stock price, right? The stock price went up and down a few dollars over the last few days, or not over the last few months. But the actual stock price itself, or the actual value of the stock, had only gone down about 6 cents. So you really want to kind of look at that, is that like that's what really happened, folks, is it went down just a little bit, and that's what we were kind of that's what we were sort of considering. And then I think they did a little bit of gain on extinguishment of debt and various other ideas, and fair value consideration and whatnot. So it's about 5 cents. They put it down to 5 cents. And I think intangible assets amortization obviously is down. But, what are we even really saying about that? I think it was already amortized, right? So essentially, and also like the market is becoming more and more competitive. So how much can you even really say it? But I think you can see that, like, yes, we understand that there was, it's kind of building a little bit, right? You had the 14, now you're at 14 cents since the 6 months ended on June 30th. But guys, remember what happened to the stock. It has gone up from 33 cents all the way up to about $2 or something. So we're at the position where people are seeing that there is a big difference in those two numbers from 2020 to 2021. Now, are we going to see this giant jump again? That's the question. I think that's the question for people who are waiting for that giant jump. And when we look at this, when we look at what they're doing, when we look at what their projections are at, I think our next giant jump is going to be when COVID's completely done. And it's going to come in a way that we're not going to really be aware of, because we might not even be thinking about it, or really the end of COVID, there isn't a light at the end of the tunnel yet. So we don't know when specifically, okay, this is when it's going to end. So we don't know if it's going to resurge. There's no way to fully know. We know that it's getting better, but we don't know if it's going to end. So we don't know when it's going to end. So, but that would be my prediction as to when we might see that next giant jump in terms of their overall earnings attributed to their common stockholders. So that's just something so you guys can sort of understand what's going on that end, and sort of just kind of getting a good understanding as to what exactly the stock is doing. Now, they did also issue more shares, so I guess we could also adjust for that as well. I believe we could look at this too, with the 3 months ended on June 30th. So we see that, still a little bit of a net loss there, roughly the same money-wise, if not a little bit more over the last 6 months on June 30th. So definitely something we want to be consider about. We, obviously we're not looking to lose all of our money here, but at the same point in time, we have to be cognizant that this company, let's imagine a stock graph, right? It goes up, down, goes up, down, goes up, down. So if we sold every time we saw a company go down a little bit or had a little bit of a problem, nobody would ever make any money, because they wouldn't be there to catch that ride. So same kind of sentiment as prior, which is just kind of hold tight, really strong company, really strong fundamentals, really great highlights, and ultimately I'm very excited about it. Now, I do want to just give a quick bridge into the overall direction of the podcast and how I was sort of, not the podcast, but the YouTube channel. I gave it out. Wow. I one-shot these things, guys. So what I've been thinking about was, instead of kind of going through these earnings and kind of going through on YouTube and everything, I was thinking about shifting my platform over to Spotify, starting a podcast. And this is going to be an ASXC podcast. It's not going to have my name attached to it or anything like that. It's going to be simply just talking about the ASXC stock. And that's going to be it. So that is going to be the whole podcast, is simply going to be following this company through its inception. So that's going to be a very fun time. I'm going to go over various ideas with the ASXC. What is the company? How does the company work? What does the company do? Everything you need to know about the company. Where did it start? The history of it. Where is it? Where is it going? Who's in charge? Who's not in charge? What is it? Everything I will write down, and I will make a podcast for, and I'm really excited about that. So I'm introducing the podcast, and then second of all, I'm also changing my YouTube channel. I am going to no longer be posting on Andrew Taranta, and I am going to instead post on a new YouTube channel, which I'm going to call Arcane, which is a really cool word. I would look it up. It means small, but valuable and not known by many. So that's really what I think ASXC is. I think ASXC is a very arcane company, and I think that really gives it that really special that special attraction, I guess you could say, that I have for it. And that's why I want to make the new YouTube channel, and I'm going to call it Arcane. And it's going to be sort of obviously a launching off point for the future. If I ever do start a mutual fund or something, we can always, continue to use that word. And I think that that's a little bit better than just putting Angie Toronto, which obviously it's my name, but at the end of the day, I think you guys come here for stock advice, not for Angie Toronto, which is fair. So yep, that's about it. I just want to give you guys that heads up of what's going on, what the new direction is. So I will leave a link in the Discord, my YouTube channel. I will continue post little things to say like, hey, come to the new YouTube channel, subscribe, in case obviously you didn't wait to the end. But we will cross that bridge when we get there. But for now, thank you so much for stopping by. I will hopefully kind of update you guys through the Discord. So join the Discord if you'd like to know what specifically is happening and when it's happening. All right. Have a great rest of your night, guys. Bye.